Hello and good evening, and welcome to the USL Short Show. I will try to make this shorter than last short show, which we have heard was a little too long, but that's fine. It's USL League One, so there's a ton of information to cover. Shout out to them for doing that. If you are ever listening or watching live on Twitter, you can hop on over to the YouTube page and throw your comments in, ask questions. Anytime we go live, share your thoughts. We'd love to hear from you while we talk USL soccer. Right up at the top, I just do want to shout out Jason Weintraub. You might know him from some of his hot takes about soccer. He has moved to Hawaii and started to harvest his own stuff to make tea. I recently got an order from him. It is chilly here in San Diego, so I am enjoying some of his delicious tea tonight. It's Disco Farmer. If you haven't, just check him out. Jason Weintraub. You can find him on the interwebs. If you like tea, it's good. If you don't like tea, sorry about it. So, a quick congratulations to Canada, Mexico, and the United States for clinching their spot in the World Cup last night. There is a story on the USL website, a pretty cool story about how USL played a role in developing a lot of the players that you saw on the U.S. men's national team. You can read that story, hear their history, and see how USL Championship League One and League Two has played a role in developing future talent for the men's national team. It's always great to see that talent moving up from League Two to League One to Championship, and then beyond. I got a chance to talk to Evan Conway yesterday, who recently moved from League One to Championship and scored a goal against Phoenix Rising over the weekend. And he had a lot of cool things to say about his time in League One and how proud he was of him and his fellow League One players to keep moving up. You can check that on Two Balls and a Mic web on their Twitter page. Speaking of Two Balls and a Mic, our friend Tony over there, podcast friend in San Diego. I know Andrew Carlton has been in the news since the signing, or not really in the news, I guess, in people's minds as far as the Twitter sphere is concerned. Tony from Two Balls and a Mic here in San Diego sat down and did a one-on-one interview with him. So if you want to hear him in his own words, that is out there as well. It's about an hour long. It's a little bit less than that if you listen to it on 1.2 times or 1.5 times speed. It is in a podcast form, but also in the visual form on YouTube if you care about those body language things. So you can check that out. Again, Two Balls and a Mic. That's the number 2 balls and a mic. Tony produces some pretty good content. In all fairness, I also show up on their podcast to talk San Diego Loyal Soccer, but he does a great job. Let's talk about some signings. We have in League One, Alexander Cox Ashworth gets signed by Greenville kind of right before the season starts. From everything that we've heard through Discord, he's going to be a pretty good, probably depth player. Maybe not the most exciting signing if you're a Greenville Triumph fan, but a guy who's going to give you pretty good minutes. I believe he played for Los Dos last year. Another interesting news is a loan from New England Revolution. Edward Kizza is loaned to Memphis 901. This is interesting because this was one of the questions, right? Like with the institution of MLS Next, are people going to be loaned down to USL or loaned over to USL, I guess, Championship or League One? I think people's idea is that the USL Championship is still a higher level of product than MLS Next is. So if you have a borderline guy who might need some minutes, you're going to see some loans. And we see one, maybe not as many this year, but there's definitely one this year going to Memphis 901. That's Edward Kizza. And then the biggest news happened right before, I shouldn't say right before, a couple hours ago, is Legion sign Juan Agudelo. This is a huge signing for them. I believe Kaler tweeted even that this is big news because people outside of the organization are tweeting how exciting this signing is, how exciting the signing is. Yeah, that's what I said. Legion are kind of underperforming. I would put them in the underperforming group this year. In the East, they are currently in last place. They do have a game in hand, or they don't have a game in hand. Hartford has a game in hand on them. Legion is currently sitting in last place. No wins, 2 draws. Sorry, 2 losses and a draw for 1 point. Their goal differential is -4, and this is definitely going to probably address some of those goal scoring droughts. It'll be interesting to see how soon he gets into the team, knowing that they have a big game against Louisville City at home April 2nd. Maybe not the biggest vetting in process that we might get in the Premiership or some of these top 5 teams. But you should see him relatively soon for Legion. Robert Rankin says Bonilla retired out of the blue, lame sauce. Yeah, there's been a couple of these just kind of out of nowhere, guys just kind of hanging them up. We wish them the best of luck. Obviously, it's not the most ideal for a fan base to have people retire mid-season. But you have to allow players to make the choice that's best for them. And sometimes that means hanging it up in the middle of the season. Either it's a nagging injury, it's a family issue, it's a you're not really going to get minutes issue. And so they're like, yeah, I think I'm just kind of done. But it does kind of hurt, right? You want to see these players be successful and continue to do well for themselves and for their team. And when they retire, obviously, that means they're not playing anymore. That's what retirement means, I guess. So good news is we have Jordan Farr. Yeah, and that's kind of it might just be minutes. It might just be, hey, this isn't going to work out. And instead of kind of just sitting there and not doing a lot, maybe they're on their way out. There was one match in between the last show and our next show, and that was New Mexico United 2 Oakland Roots. This was a second week in a row where New Mexico gives up a goal in stoppage time to drop points. If they do this again, sorry, my dog is wandering through my legs right now, or at least one of them is. Hey, buddy. And I guess twice in a row starts to become a habit. We see this quite a bit. I mean, in San Diego, this was a well-known flaw for San Diego last year. I think Orange County at times got bit by this bug. It hurts, but this was a fun match. Tarek Morad scored in stoppage time to steal the point. There were a couple of controversial goals, I would say. There was a claimed handball against Nico Brett on the first New Mexico goal. I don't think it was a handball. It certainly looked like from the back that it might have hit his arm in, but it looks like it catches his trailing leg. The next one was kind of a borderline offside. There wasn't a great angle on the replay, but party lights. But John Morrissey did a really great job of breaking this down yesterday on his USL Tactics Twitter account. So I'm not going to go into too much detail because he does such a phenomenal job. But one of the things I want to point out about it was he has a better angle on kind of that header for the goal, and it is about as close as one can get to be offside or onside. But it looks like the defender on the far side of the pitch keeps the New Mexico player onside, because holy cow, was he all alone by himself to score that goal to take New Mexico up 2-1. But Oakland fought back, and good on Oakland for fighting back, especially on the road, to come back and steal a point, which was a big point for them. They had lost 3 in a row to RGV, to 901, and to Monterey Bay. To fight back and get a draw on the road against a pretty solid New Mexico team, I think kind of speaks to how up and down this league can be. Right now, Oakland is next to last place, right above El Paso. But you can't count anyone out in this league right now. There are no I would make an argument that there are kind of no teams that you can kind of sleep on, right? Even Baby Bulls pulled a win against Atlanta United 2. Um, any team can do some damage, right? Hartford Athletic draws Tampa Bay. Indy 11 draws Lou City. Uh, anything can happen. It's been a wild couple weeks in the USL. But again, John Morsey at USL Tactics on Twitter does a really phenomenal job about breaking down that New Mexico Oakland match. Talk about some of the major tactical things happening. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. I'm going to send you there so he can get some clicks and you can get some eyes on some pretty good content. He has some maps and some videos. Kaylor's in the chat. What up, Kaylor? Hartford with the most accidental draw I've seen. Yeah, if it's not an accidental draw, it's not the USL, right? It's been a wild 3-4 weeks. Some big themes coming up next week. I think a really good test for both 901 and Detroit City when they play each other. We'll get a better idea of where each of these teams are, right? Detroit has been, I wouldn't say surprisingly good, but definitely a tough team, a tough out. 901 hasn't been tested with like tough teams, right? Oakland Roots and Vegas. They did lose to Pittsburgh in their first match, but that was after a red card. So I'm not quite sure who Memphis is right now. I would say the same thing about Detroit City. Just as far as how good are they? I think this will be kind of a fun middle of the East test. This might this might have some playoff implications down the line. This matchup of 901 and Detroit, not the specific matchup of these two teams. So that should be a pretty fun test for both of the teams. There's some other things. Streaks are on the line, right? Can Loudoun continue their hot start? Can Loudoun continue their hot start against a good Pittsburgh team on the road? Is the USL show Loudoun bandwagon going to get lighter this week after a 0-0 draw to the Miami FC? With Miami, the draw against Miami, I think, makes Loudoun feel a little bit more human, I guess. Or at least, hey, they're not going to steamroll teams at the beginning of the season, kind of like what RGV did last season against a good Pittsburgh team that I think has something to prove after a good first half against Detroit City and kind of fell apart in the second half for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. So I think there's a bounce back game for them. So this should be a fun little matchup. Again, Loudoun on the road to Pittsburgh. Currently, Pittsburgh and Loudoun have identical records: 2 wins, 1 tie or draw. I don't know why they call them ties on the website. They both have a +4 goal differential on 7 points, 2 wins and a draw for both teams in order of how they achieve them. The next one is this is the one I was going to get to next. Is San Antonio really that good? Is Phoenix going to figure it out? Here are 2 streaks into, right? Sacramento is on a 3-game win streak. Phoenix Rising is on a 2-game losing streak. Back-to-back losses for the first time in I think 2017 is what they were saying. This will be a fun one. Someone's streak is probably ending, right? San Antonio gets a win. Phoenix gets a loss. Both teams can continue. But I think San Antonio can get a win in this one. But again, San Antonio is probably the least convincing unbeaten team in the league right now. They are 3-0, but 1-0 against Detroit City, a 2-1 against Los Dos, and a 2-1 against RGV. Their quality, and they're playing at home, which I think gives them a little bit of the nod. Only promises that there will be a red card. Probably those have calmed down just a little bit, but I do think this one might get heated. I know San Antonio likes to play on the edge a little bit. People have accused them of going beyond that edge. But this is probably in the West versus West, probably the matchup to keep an eye on. The other streak is can El Paso Locomotive stop the losing train? Again, if Sacramento's the most or least unconvincing 3-0 team, I think El Paso is probably the best 0-3 team I've seen in a long time. They're still a quality side. They're still producing pretty good XG. And I think that they're going to give San Diego a tough test. That is our only Sunday match on ESPN Deportes, nationally televised, right? We're advertising the snot out of that one. So El Paso, can they finally get a point during the season? San Diego, can they continue kind of their home form from the first 2 weeks where they scored 4, only let in 1, and won their first 2 matches? So that should be a fun one. And the other team putting their win streak on the line is Colorado Springs against Miami. This is a pretty fun inter-conference matchup. I think I chose Colorado Springs because I think that they're playing really, really well right now. Miami has been inconsistent at best. They did beat Baby Bulls, although that's not that convincing. They lost to Lou City 2-0, and they drew Loudoun United 0-0. So not exactly the best start for the Miami FC. But this is going to be a fun inter-conference matchup. Right now, I think the East is performing a little bit better compared to the West early on in these matchups. But again, it's still early on, still a lot to go. And the only East versus West matchup that really is going to matter a whole lot is the championship at the end of the year. Yes, the TM. Kaylor says, something small I forgot to mention on the show Tuesday. I set the over-under on yellow cards in RGV versus AFC at 9.5. There were 10. Those Copa Tejas games are no joke. I do want to shout out again the USL League One short show. The short show, it was supposed to be 4 hours, but they shortened it to 2, which is why they called it the short show. It's all of the information you need prior to League One kicking off this weekend. They have expanded they've expanded some teams, some brand new teams out there. So if you know League One, this is a good one to take a listen to get to know them. If you do not know League One, like I don't know League One as well, I got a lot out of this, and I am ready for League One's opening weekend. Again, we had Charlotte Independence moving down. Central Valley Fuego's new. You have Northern Colorado Hailstorm is also new. And can Union Omaha repeat? Find it all out. This short show in relationship to the Batman. And Robert Rankin says RGV are a gaggle of cheaters. They deserve the cards. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. If you only have like an hour to listen to the League One show, just listen to it at like 2 times speed. I mean, they talk fast. Someone told me they recognized my voice, but they said they listened to the USL show at 1.2 speed. So I said, I just started talking faster, and he goes, there it is. Charlotte with a huge signing. Is that former San Diego Loyals / Tacoma? What is their indoor team? I think it's just called the Tacoma Stars. Miguel Ibarra, is that who you're talking about? Kaylor Hodges, the Ibarra signing. He was pretty good, pretty decent with Loyal, scored a couple goals. Maybe not the most dangerous player on the wing, based for San Diego. They went with an upgrade. And then Tormenta stealing the kit show. I'll leave the kit show to the kit talk that rocks. Clearly my opinions are terrible, and my picks are going to be worse. Shout out Tulsa for not picking you. I can't bring myself to pick you anymore. Anyway, big weekend this weekend. There's going to be a lot of soccer to watch. There's been a lot of soccer with the World Cup qualifyings, so maybe a little bit less soccer than normal. But be safe out there, guys. make sure you have a nice ride and or Uber or Lyft or taxi, hashtag support your local union, to the games. And I can't wait for everyone to tell me how wrong I am on my picks. Kaylor says his phone hasn't recovered since being called out by Tulsa. My phone has moved on to more Andrew Carlton memes. So this has been the short show, and the real short show. I had to compensate. Have fun this weekend, guys. Check out USL League One, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you for watching another episode of the USL Show. This and every episode is brought to you by the Beautiful Game Network. Find podcasts and other written work at bgn.fm. Once again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you guys again next week.